Well, the Chiefs get it done yesterday, winning up in Minnesota 27-20. And what we like to say is a win is a win. Much anticipated matchup. Kansas City, though, pulling through. The defense held strong. Offense started to get a few things rolling. We saw some sparks from the youngsters and even the vets. Travis Kelce, of course, battling through some injury, coming back in, winning big for Kansas City. We got that and much more to talk about. Some broken records, some key moments. It's all coming up as this is 10 Things.
This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome in. I'm Hayley Lewis, joined by Tucker Franklin. BJ Kissel on the road, got to go to that game in Minnesota. We are jealous. It must have been a fun one. Cool environment. But anyways, happy Monday morning. We're going to get 10 Things rolling here. But first, of course, we want to thank our sponsor of 10 Things. It is Mission Taco Joint. Now they got 3 locations in Kansas City, including that new one out in Leawood. Mission Taco, generous enough to help us in our Feed It Forward program, providing meals every single month to Hope Faith Ministries in downtown Kansas City. We'll, of course, be helping them provide meals and serving each month. A great organization there. Also, some good tacos, so don't miss out on that. Of course, if you're interested in supporting this program, please let us know. You also get 10% off on your order every single Tuesday. That is at any Kansas City area Mission Taco Joint, simply by mentioning KCSN.
Yeah, pretty good tacos.
Yeah, ready for tacos.
Very good tacos.
Also, the Ben Holiday cocktail they got going over there. So look at that, sponsored.
Got the
Hashtag ad.
Holiday bottled and bomb bourbon used in the any given holiday. I actually had an opportunity, I think it was last Wednesday. We went out there one of these days.
Whatever day it was.
One of these days we went out there. We had some tacos. We had some of the any given holiday.
Yeah.
Very good drink. If you like pineapple, it's got some pineapple, a little cinnamon in there as well. So very good fall seasonal drink. Almost a little bit. It makes the pineapple very stand out. I'm a big pineapple fan, so I enjoy it. But yes, love Mission Taco. I had their carne asada, the chorizo taco.
No, I wish it was Tuesday.
I wish it was Tuesday as well, but
tacos for a good cause, okay? Head out to Mission Taco. But let's get this thing started. We got 10 things top of our mind right now regarding the Kansas City Chiefs. And the first one, I'll kind of open it up with this one. It's kind of like a 1-2 punch right here. We got the opening play takeaway, and then also Pacheco taking charge of what happened after that takeaway. So opening play of the game yesterday, Justin Reed forcing a fumble after Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins, in case you didn't know that he was the quarterback for the Vikings, connected a 16-yard pass. Josh Oliver, of course, losing control of that. Brian Cook able to leap on that fumble, recover it for the Chiefs. The Chiefs take over. They capitalize. I remember listening to the broadcasts and Tony Romo saying, they really struggle with turnovers. And this is my best.
Yeah, that was honestly pretty good. Pretty good.
With the turnovers in the first quarter, of course, the first play that happens, the Chiefs defense capitalizes. Pacheco takes charge of that and turns that into a Chiefs touchdown. So good start, right?
And absolutely
seemingly great in the beginning.
A very good start. I can remember, we were watching that game down at the Kingdom Bar and seeing that first play happen, the tackle attempt by Leo Chanel. I was like, oh no, is it going to be one of those games that Brian Cook comes in and he saves the day with that forced fumble and everything. But then the drive afterwards was almost as encouraging, I think, when you talk about what was going on for the Chiefs offense. A little bit of a slow start. We know that they've done a lot of emphasis on the run game in these past weeks. To have Pacheco come in, punch that touchdown, it's great to see. It's great to see those guys get it going early.
Led the Chiefs rushing charge in 4 of the 5 games this season, finishing the game with 55 yards on 16 rushing attempts and 1 touchdown. An exceptional start to the season for him, picking up where he left off on last year. I think what was important about this one, though, especially, was the fact that the Chiefs started off aggressive. They immediately, they set the tone immediately. The defense has been a talking point all season long. I mean, they've been exceptional, and for them to really get things rolling, and it was just kind of ironic that happened. I think you got a PFF little stat in here. Throw it at us.
So PFF wasn't very kind to the Chiefs defense. If you look at the PFF grades, they weren't the most positive. But Brian Cook was the highest graded defensive player, 75.9.
Really?
So that's
neat.
Over Snead. That's going to tell you how kind the PFF was. As a 75 was the highest graded on defense. And PFF has a metric called a stop. I don't know if you guys are familiar with PFF stops. It is a stat that they have, I guess you could say, invented, or it's a tackle that they constitute as a failure for the offense. So he had one of his tackles credited as a stop. I believe he only had 3 tackles on the day. So pretty good percentage of tackles constitute as a stop. But we'll be curious to see if PFF goes in and like changes some of these grades up, because I know they go in and revise them as the week goes on. But I was a little shocked when I threw up the PFF grades this morning and I saw Brian Cook was the highest one at a 75.9.
I mean, that's great. Like, we love to see us get degrees, but that's interesting. Well, hey, okay, they started off hot. They ended up getting everything done. All the in-between, I don't even really want to talk about it because it wasn't the best. But let's talk about the Chiefs extending their road streak. That is point number 2 here. With yesterday's 27-20 win over the Vikings, the Chiefs have now won 6 straight games on the road. That ties for the 4th longest road game win streak in franchise history. We got them down here. The 4th longest being 2022 to 2023 right now. Before that, it was 1976 to 1968. That's been a minute.
That's a while ago, yeah.
But number 1, though, we were all here for. That was 2019 into the 2020 season. 11 road games in a row. That's impressive.
It looks like I'm looking at these. I'm looking at the leaderboard now. So 2019 to 2020, as you mentioned, leads the way. Mm-hmm. Tied for second is 2016 to 2017, which was a good time to be a Chiefs fan.
I'm trying to think through that.
What about Alex Smith?
Building right before.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right just before Mahomes. Mm-hmm. And then 2022, 2023. So you have 3 of the top, I guess you'd say 6 because they're right, are all in the Andy Reid era. When it comes to talk about road wins and I think that just shows again how dominant Andy Reid and like how good of a decision obviously it was to sign Andy Reid and then bring him into Kansas City. He's been pretty dominant at his time in Kansas City. That was impressive to me. I didn't realize the Chiefs had that streak going in terms of road games. And I guess when you think back of it, they're games that they have lost at Arrowhead. So I mean, we know that the Chiefs like to play on the road and they get up for those road challenges and everything like that. But it's been an interesting one. One of my favorite jersey combinations. This is
I was just about to ask him.
This is not our list. The white on white.
I love it.
Incredible. I want to go back. This is a stat I want to do, and I haven't had the opportunity to do it yet. Is the record when they wear white on white?
Wait, okay. The person we need to ask is Nick Jacobs. Yes. This is the guy. So Nick Jacobs used to be my sports producer, and he had a whole stat. We got to text him after this. He had a whole stat list of what uniforms they won in the most. And for the life of me, I read the script, but I can't remember. I wonder what the white on white is. But he's the kind of guy who knows those random things.
It's got to be pretty high, though. I feel like that every time they wear the white on whites, I feel like they're winning. I think it was a Chargers game last year that they had won in the white on whites. They only wear them like once or twice a year, maybe. But there's a trend, obviously, in sports fashion of the monochromatic look. You see a lot of teams going monochromatic with
Joel's doing monochromatic today, too.
Joel's looking great in the monochromatic. But
it's a vibe. Joel
behind the 1s and 2s, by the way. That took me out of the 1s and 2s, put Joel behind there in the 1s and 2s. So I appreciate Joel for helping out. But yeah, that's what I was just thinking is like, it seems like I know a lot of Chiefs fans have some sour feelings towards the red on red because it seems like every time they wear the red on red, last year was against Buffalo, they don't perform as well. And I always think people are a little too superstitious when it comes to uniforms and stuff like that. But I always
NFL fans superstitious.
Weird. I do enjoy them wearing the white on whites.
Yeah, I like them. They're clean. They're crisp. I love monochromatic looks. So
yeah,
I
absolutely
love the red on red as well. But yeah, anyways, looking icy yesterday, getting another dub. You want to take 3 away?
Let's do it.
A little good old Mahomes.
This is 100 with 150 plus passing. And yesterday's victory in Minnesota, the Chiefs offense recorded 281 passing yards. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes was able to connect with 10 receivers, with Travis Kelce leading the charge, 67 yards on 10 receptions. This marked the Chiefs' 100th consecutive game with 150 passing yards, which ties the Detroit Lions from 2010 to 2017 for the second longest streak, hitting that mark in NFL history. Kind of insane when you think about the Detroit Lions.
I know. I kind of read that and I was like,
and 150 plus passing yards is not nothing. Like that's a decent amount of passing yards, but 100 straight games the Chiefs have been able to do that with Patrick Mahomes, obviously from 2017 to now.
That's the key right there.
2017 to now, Patrick Mahomes being able to do that. Alex Smith obviously doing it a little bit there in 2017, but
we always Alex Smith set up everything that is happening right now. Absolutely. And I don't mean to negate what he did, but it's just incredible what has happened since Mahomes took over as the starter.
It is insane.
But yeah, you're right. One of those years going to Alex Smith. I think what's interesting about this is that you kind of look at it and you think it shows you that no one's been able to completely shut down the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe 150 plus isn't the flashiest of numbers when you think of what Mahomes usually puts up.
Right.
But that if you would have less, or, you know, that sounds really like that's crazy that that's the truth.
Right.
But it just shows that no one has completely shut them out or flattened them. I can't even think of a game that was the last time that Mahomes stepped onto the field where he was a starting quarterback, where the Chiefs were just completely halted.
I'm looking this up now because
I hope so. I'm hoping you can back my thoughts because I can't think of one since I've started reporting on the team.
I was really interested in seeing like what Patrick Mahomes' like lowest passing yards was. 76 in his first game, because remember he was pulled for.
Are we talking about in Denver?
The Denver
game
in 2017, he was pulled and then came back in to win the game.
Okay.
Obviously, didn't have a passing touchdown on that one, but outside of that one, 166.
Wow, what was that game?
So against Green Bay, a 13-7 win that would have been in 2021.
Because Rodgers wasn't playing that game, was he?
No, that probably would have been Jordan Love's first game, right, in 2021 when they put his mom all the way up in the nosebleeds. I think that's what that game was. It was incredible, but you're right. It's something to think about with like this Chiefs offense is that like you can only hope to contain them. You can even when you have another quarterback in there, like Patrick Mahomes only had that 76 passing yards at one time, but 166 being his lowest in his career in like a full game and like a real game that he's actually playing is actually quite astonishing, especially when you come to talk about like the playoffs too. There's been a couple, like the concussion game he left against the Browns a little bit later in the game, but still able to do that. Still got 150 yards in the game where he left early against the Denver Broncos. Quite impressive, obviously, from the Chiefs. Again, this is the not normalizing greatness portion of the podcast, where we get to talk about all of that stuff.
We become the homers.
We really have. But so the number one is 124. So the Chiefs need 25 more games to hit that number one spot. It's the Atlanta Falcons. They did that from 2011 to 2018, which had a good team. I think they went to the Super Bowl in that span there too. So they've had and they did choke. Matt Ryan, also a very consistent quarterback in the terms of that stretch right there. So they got a little bit of a ways to go before number one.
Sure.
But still just a mark of consistency, I think, is what we've just learned and just come to know from the Chiefs here.
I think also if you look at the amount of years that they had to do so, that was a 7-year span, and what is it, 2023? So we're right at like, I'm counting in my head 5 years.
Yeah.
So like,
listen, I'm no BJ Kissel when it comes to math. BJ would have that number right ready for you, but I can't do that. But no, it is in that span. They've also played a lot of games in that span. Truthfully, that's one thing that I think about a lot with the Chiefs. Is like, okay, they've played the most amount of games for like the past 5 years or something like that.
That's wild,
which is insane to think about. But yeah, incredibly consistent.
Let's talk about someone else who's been incredibly consistent for Kansas City. We talked about him a little bit earlier. We got Andy Reid surpassing Landry. That is impressive. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid notches his 251st regular season win after defeating the Vikings. The Vikings, it's a new team. The win moved Reid past the Hall of Famer, Coach Tom Landry, for the 4th most regular season wins in NFL history. We've been talking about this stat, I believe, on the podcast for the last 3 or 4 weeks. It was all together wins, including postseason. Then it was regular season wins that he tied him with last week. Now he has surpassed him with the most regular season, or not the most regular season, but now he is over Tom Landry. He's behind Bill Belichick, of course. Has 273 combined wins. That's the regular season and postseason for that stat. As an NFL head coach, that ranks 4th most total wins in NFL history. John Shula right at the top, of course. But to be right behind Bill Belichick with 299, Andy Reid with 251 after yesterday. Tom Landry there at 250.
Impressive.
The names that you are listed amongst is insane.
We have been talking about the stat because you talked about the overall wins.
Yes,
now
right.
This is just regular season wins. Tom Landry at that 250 mark. Now Andy Reid at 251. Bill Belichick is going to be a tough one to catch at 299. He's still coaching, obviously. He's still, actually, I don't know if they're still going to get any more wins. The Patriots look very bad this year. But I'm sure Bill Belichick will get more wins. But those are both guys going to be active at the same time. Going through to George House at 318, Don Shula at the top at 328, as you mentioned. But cool to see Andy Reid just climb those lists, and he's been a very deserving head coach. And everybody in the league really respects him, what he's been able to do. And again, talk about the consistency with Andy Reid. We could just do a whole podcast probably about Andy Reid. I'm sure we could, but again, another mark. He doesn't have another landmark, I don't think, for a while. As we'd mentioned, Bill Belichick.
Yeah, 299 for 251.
This could probably be the last time we'll talk about his win total this season, but I'm sure there's other things that we'll talk about with Andy Reid.
Yeah, Andy Reid, Big Red. The thing that I appreciate the most about him is not only just people think that he's being short to elude or to not tell you the whole truth, or maybe his answers are quick and concise and to the point because he just doesn't want to get into that and talk.
Right.
I just think that that's who he is.
Yeah.
And he's just like, that's really all the information you need to know right now. And that's all the information I'm willing to tell you. It's not that I'm like withholding information. I'm just telling you what you're allowed to know, and that's it. I'm moving on. He is who he is. He, and you love the fact that he shows humor. His State Farm commercials. I think Joel tweeted that out today about go get yourself some nuggies and I'm assuming it was Joel, but for the person that he is, the character that he is, and you get what you got right there. And he's a great players coach, also allowing them to show their personalities at the same time. Yeah. Being a guy who keeps that locker room to a higher standard and doesn't, waver from it. So coaching is not an easy gig. You get torn apart. I mean, I come from a coaching family. It is definitely brutal listening to the comments. And I think for all that he's been through, he holds his head high and deserves all the accolades.
That's great.
Is it great?
It is great. It's great that he's able to be as great as he is with the adversity that he has.
Another guy that deserves all the accolades. Go back to Mahomie.
I wanted to talk about this one, so I'm glad that you're letting me talk about this one because this one is probably one of my favorite Mahomes stats. As Mahomes has now beaten all 31 teams.
That is cool.
Quarterback Patrick Mahomes had yet to play the Minnesota Vikings, making that the only team, excluding the Chiefs, that he had not defeated. With the help of his 281 passing yards, the Chiefs held off the Vikings, winning 27-20. Mahomes has now defeated every team in the league besides the Chiefs, doing so in 7 seasons. The previous record was 8 seasons by Tom Brady. Only 4 quarterbacks have defeated all 32 teams. That's Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, and Brett Favre. 5 other quarterbacks have defeated 31 teams: Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, Russell Wilson, Kerry Collins, and Alex Smith. It's too bad Alex Smith couldn't get that one.
Oh, so I didn't know.
That's too bad. It's too bad they never beat the 49ers with Alex Smith at quarterback. And Mahomes becomes the first quarterback actually to defeat all 31 teams as the starter under the age of 30, which I saw that part of it and was like, wow.
Yeah, shows you how quick.
That he did do it really quick, and he could have done it if he wasn't hurt in 2019 against the Vikings, where I called it the Matt Moore game. It's pretty much how everyone's going to know it. With the injury that Patrick Mahomes had, came back from that. But the one game that he did not play, I guess there was 2 games. He didn't play against the Packers. He didn't play against the Vikings that season on the road to the Super Bowl. But
like who was it?
As Matt Moore played in that game, they held him on. I think it was an overtime win, field goal, Harris Booker. BJ talked about it last week. But
it is a cool stat. The Chiefs
really impressive.
The Chiefs put out a really cool graphic with all the team's logos and Mahomes next to it. And when you visualize numbers rather than reading them, I think it adds more to the effect of just like, oh my gosh. Like the fact that you're able to get that done, some of them you only have one chance with them to get it done, and that would be it. And then the next time you would potentially have another chance to play that team, especially if it's maybe an NFC team, what might be seasons from now. So the fact that and you said under 30, that still blows my mind how young he is.
You bring that point up about only having one opportunity to beat them.
Yeah.
I think Nick Jacobs tweeted something out about he only had...
Why isn't he on this podcast today?
Apparently he should just be in place of me because we're just going to reference everything he's going to say. But he had tweeted something out about how many times... It was only 4 teams, I think, that he had...
Just one chance against.
That he had beaten... It took the second time for them to beat them. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll have to try to find the tweet, but it was New England... obviously Minnesota, but I guess this is the first time he's really played him, so it wasn't necessarily the second time around. But I'll do some more looking that up. But I'll have to probably hit it on the other side of a break. But I was very interested by that. There was only like 4 teams that he had. Only a second time.
Again, it just brings to the head how important it is to recognize. Okay, I gotta slow it down. I'm being so Mahomey right now.
No. I don't think we need to slow it down. I don't think you need to slow it down. I think you can take it all the way. We can be full Mahomey right now because I think
wearing the Chiefs shirt. Talk about how she loves Mahomes.
Okay, here I found it. It's from Curtis Siebel. Outside of Sports Radio 810, he had tweeted out kind of a graphic of all the teams that he beat. Somebody asked how many of those took more than one attempt. New England, the Rams, the Seahawks, the Texans, and the Titans. So 5. 5 teams took more than one attempt before the age of 30.
Impressive.
Wow.
Impressive. Okay, well, before we become the Mahomey podcasts, let's throw it to a break, and we'll be back with more on 10 Things.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
All right, guys, welcome back into 10 Things. Tucker Franklin joining myself, Hayley Lewis. BJ Kissel got to go to the game. I wanted to go to the game. It looked cool.
It did.
A little, what's it called? The skull? What do they call it?
Well, here's the thing. I made a tweet about this earlier, Hayley. They stole that from Iceland. They stole that chain. There's like, yeah, we're going to make
Vikings, though? Can't they steal from what they're representing?
Well, to be fair, Vikings stole a lot back in the day, and they're still stealing now. So they took that chant from them. Just like, yeah, we'll just take it and then change it a little bit and then just say skull instead of hull. Because Iceland did it like during 2017 Euros or something like that. And that's really cool.
So you really did look into that?
Oh, no, I did. I made a tweet about it too. So because I was like, people aren't talking about this enough. I needed to make sure people knew what was going on up there.
Give credit where credit's due, Tuck. Okay, you take it away for this one. We're talking more about Mahomes.
Yes, Mahomes daggers the end zone twice. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes connected with 10 different receivers during the course of the Chiefs' 27-20 victory over the Vikings. Mahomes was able to tally 281 passing yards, completing 31 of 41 passes for a passer rating of 109.9. Mahomes swung 2 passes into the end zone, both in the third quarter. His first was found by rookie wide receiver Rashee Rice with an 8-yard touchdown pass, and his second was a 4-yard connection with none other than tight end Travis Kelce, which that pass to Kelce marked the pair's 49th touchdown pass in their connection, further extending their lead for the most quarterback to pass catcher connections in franchise history. Not just quarterback to wide receiver, not just quarterback to tight end, quarterback to pass catcher connections. 49 touchdown passes, furthering their lead in franchise history. It's quite incredible what those two have been able to do.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think I was talking with Kendall Gammon yesterday, post game, just about the connection that the two of these have, the pair has, and the fact that they can know where each other are going to be on the field without telling each other where they're going to be on the field. I mean, it's a marriage. Like they can, except for the husband can actually read his mind. Like they can understand where things are going and when it's happening before it does. And I remember the franchise, which the Chiefs put out those episodes every couple of weeks or once a week. And it was talking about how Travis went over to Mahomes on the sideline. And he goes, "How did you even know I was going to be there?" And he's like, I didn't even turn. I didn't even tell you. I didn't give you no indication I was going to be there. And he's like, I just knew, doing that. Like, I just knew. And it's people, I don't think people talk enough about how lucky Kansas City is to have that. And I think we saw that in week 1, the loss of Travis Kelce and the connection that those two have. Now, it's going to take, we've been hearing all the criticism about these young receivers and this, and this, but it takes a little more than 5 weeks to figure out where another person is going to be, reading the timing, getting that chemistry down. We're starting to see little sparks of that from those youngsters, like you even mentioned here. We also saw some great catches from Justin Ross. But yeah, we are very, very lucky in Kansas City to have the connection that Mahomes and Kelce do. And they make great commercials together, too.
They do make great commercials. That might also be the best thing, actually.
Except for, I didn't like the Hy-Vee one. The milk and the cereal and the showing up and the chips and it didn't flow.
Yeah.
But Ma'Otto's
pretty good. Mahomes and Ma'Otto. That one was pretty good.
Anyways, we'll be on a rabbit hole after that.
Yeah.
You got some tidbits on that.
Yeah. Mahomes, So PFF, again, as I mentioned, you could take PFF grades for what they are, especially after a game like this. He holds the highest offensive grade for the Chiefs this year, and the second highest grade overall in Week 5 of 84.1 was the second highest on the team versus the Vikings. So played well off of a game where he didn't really play that well against the Jets. Came back, played a little bit better, but second highest grade overall according to Pro Football Focus. With Chris Jones, we'll talk about him later, is the highest graded player that the Chiefs have. Not a shocker there, but I did want to mention about Travis Kelce too. He has 222 receiving yards, and that leads the team for most this season. So he did not play in Week 1, obviously. Yeah. Still leads the team in receiving.
And was kind of limping through Week 2, and then last night limping through the game to get back in. But that was I watched that back, and I know the turf argument is there here and there, but
it's tough.
It's tough
to watch that one and be like
non-contact injury like that. Yep. We'll talk a little bit more about Kelce coming up. Yep, we got some more to talk about him. We'll talk more about that injury, what Coach Reed said afterwards, what Kelce said. And Patrick Mahomes. But let's talk about those young receivers we mentioned. He connected with over 10 different receivers in that win yesterday, 2 of which, one he connected with Justin Ross, another one, rookie Rashee Rice getting his second touch. I don't know why I rolled it there, but getting his second touchdown of the season, first on the night though. I think what a lot of people were wondering going into this game was when we're going to see more of Justin Ross. And I think that you got to give the kid time. Got to let him get in the playbook. You got to let him get more reps, but those reps obviously have to happen on an NFL field in game time. And so we saw a little bit more of that. He called in a 20-yard catch from Mahomes to convert on 2nd and 17 in the first quarter. The Chiefs kept the drive going. At the second quarter started, they were able to close it out with a field goal, making it 10-3. His big gain was the first of his career for 20-plus yards and his second career reception. That's pretty good. Yeah. Ross completed the day with 28 receiving yards and 2 receptions. You want to talk about Rice's stats, and then we'll kind of
let's talk about Rice, and then we'll lump them together.
There we go.
Yeah,
teamwork.
Let's do it.
Oh, I talked about Rice. Okay,
no, I'll talk about Rice. Rookie receiver Rashee Rice.
Tucker.
Yeah, sorry, I'm no Travis Kelce here. Rookie wide receiver Rashee Rice recorded his second career touchdown during today's victory over the Vikings. Today's end zone trip, I guess last night's end zone trip for Rice, came in the third quarter on an 8-yard touchdown pass from quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Great play by both those guys to put the Chiefs up 20-13 with 10:13 left in the third. Rice scored his first career touchdown in Week 1 and has now amassed 173 receiving yards on 17 receptions through his first 5 games. Rice finished the day with 4 receptions, 33 yards, and 1 touchdown. Loving what I'm seeing from Rashee Rice so far.
Yeah. I think the dropping passes, I think he had 4 drop passes through 4 weeks. That was a big point of concern for a lot of people. Then to be able to see him over the last 2 games really kind of capitalize on those opportunities, step into that role, I think he's going to hopefully continue to silence his haters and be able, he's playing a much different kind of ball than he was playing in college, and this is a big jump for him. You got some little tidbits.
I do got some tidbits about first I want to start with Justin Ross.
Okay.
Because I think it's interesting to note that Ross was in the game for 6 snaps yesterday.
That was it?
6 snaps, really? And was targeted 4 times. That's probably why you thought that he probably
was
had
there a little bit more
action. Yeah. Targeted 4 times, all 6 of his snaps. He was out on a passing route too. No run blocking routes or anything like that. He was on the field for Rashee Rice's touchdown. He was split out. Rashee Rice was in the slot there. That's an interesting one as well. When I was going back and looking through that, I was like, oh, Justin Ross out on the field for that, and he probably had a little bit of an angle too. But Rashee Ross, put them both together. Rashee Rice, second highest. He was the highest graded Chief from Sunday's game according to Pro Football Focus. As 83.2 grade was good enough for the highest wide receiver grade on the team this season, and the second highest offensive grade on the team. So Rashee Rice has been graded by PFF as the Chiefs' best wide receiver, and he's been shown it. I think you mentioned the drops did not have a drop against the Vikings, so that was a really big development there. The play that he had for the touchdown I thought was really good, just like read and feel by him and Mahomes together to know that that's where the soft spot was going to be at, and he had the leverage, was able to get into the end zone there too. So really good stuff. Well, we've been seeing from Rashee Rice. I know a lot of people want to see him on the field a whole lot more than what he has been on the field. Still been on the field a lot. but just people want to see him get more of those opportunities. He'll get there.
I think it's coming.
It is. And
it's in process.
We've had people. We're going to do 21 questions, so I was asking people in our Discord channel about, what do you guys want us to talk about? Ask us some questions, and some people have been asking about like Rashee Rice. Of like, is this already the best return on a rookie wide receiver production wise that we've seen?
And beat Sky Moore from last season through 5 games.
I think the only other argument will be Tyreek Hill. I'll have to go back and look at his number.
Yeah.
Yes. And he was doing more like gadget stuff than he was like actual receiving, like what Rashee Rice is doing, stuff like that. So I'll have to go back. I wanted to go back and do research on that and look at those past. I mean, obviously Deshaun Jackson is the crown jewel of rookie wide receivers for Andy Reid. But just in the Chiefs' tenure, it's going to be really close. It's going to be really close in terms of production.
I will be excited to see that one because I think you even saying the snap count of which Justin Ross was on the field, I was like, oh, really? I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised to see some of those stats. Okay, let's talk about the veteran receivers. We had Justin Watson going deep. There were 2 incredible catches by him. Of course, Travis Kelce hauling in that touchdown after an injury. So let's start with Kelce again, grabbing that 4-yard receiving touchdown that led the team's receiving efforts, totaling in 67 receiving yards off of 10 receptions in the win. 10 receptions, that made Kelce tie in the 3rd highest reception total in a single game.
Yeah.
There's another one.
Yeah.
Surpassed 10 catches 3 other times. His career was 12 receptions at Oakland. That was in 2018, back in December. He has been twice hit the 11 reception, or he has hit the 11 reception mark twice against Denver in 2019 and 2016. Thankfully, they got Denver coming up this week, so maybe that's another one to tag it against.
I saw a little note from Aaron Schatz, too, in terms of talking about the Broncos and their defense. They were the worst graded DVOA. Aaron Schatz, obviously the creator of the DVOA metric. Worst graded defense in DVOA history through the first 4 weeks. To the first 5 weeks, also the worst graded defense in DVOA. So maybe Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce can cook a little something up against.
Maybe Kelce gets 13 and beats his record.
That's what I'm saying. But very impressive that he had that many receptions after getting hurt.
Again, did not think that that's the stat I would be reading this morning when I started looking at the game. I was like, oh,
I thought he was done for the season. That's it was a panic mode that I got into.
So it's come out that it was a low ankle sprain,
right?
Better than a high ankle sprain, yes. But it didn't look good. I'm curious to see how this thing's going to develop over the next couple of days and how it's going to be at practice. If we see him limited today or if he's limited throughout the week. Today's a Thursday though. I forget. It's a Monday, Thursday because it's a Thursday game. So it's going to be interesting. He has a very short amount of time to get back and ready. So
do the Chiefs even need him to play? Probably not. Because the Broncos have been not great. So that's just another thing is they're going to have the Broncos and the Chargers coming up right after that. You get the mini bye, the 10 days before the next game. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to do with Travis Kelce. It's going to be interesting. I think they're going to treat him with caution as they did in week 1.
You can utilize some other guys. You got Noah Gray who can step in.
For sure.
But let's talk about Justin Watson, who also had, I said those 2 incredible. He caught 2 passes for a total of 56 yards. Completed a 23-yard catch from Mahomes. I'm pretty sure that was the one where he had the 2 feet sliding in.
Yes.
Barely. That's set up for a field goal later. 3rd and 18. He caught a 33-yard pass from Mahomes. And then the Chiefs, of course, capitalized off that one, completing with a touchdown drive. It is his 4th consecutive game with 20-plus yard reception. I never thought we'd be talking about Justin Watson as much as we have through 5 weeks now. No. Not to say that he's not an incredible talent. It's just that he doesn't really flash off the page when you look at who you got. And then he's been just so solid. You can count on him. He's reliable. He comes up in clutch moments. He makes catches where you're just like, it's a dime from Mahomes, right? The fact that he's able to throw through that small of a window. But the catches have been impressive. I'm impressed so far with what he's done.
We've seen Mahomes make some good throws, specifically in the Super Bowl, laying horizontally to the ground and then throwing a ball that hits a dude right in the face mask, and that'll make the catch. So Mahomes can only do so much, right? And the receiver still has to do some of the work.
Yeah.
Justin Watson had one of the best quotes of the night. I don't know if you saw this.
No,
this was to Sam McDowell. Justin Watson on his 3rd and 18 catch and ensuing celebration. He said, quote, "Take the elevator up to the penthouse. Not everybody's access card swipes up that He did the on the head celebration after that.
I saw that.
And it wasn't necessarily, when you think about like an on the head celebration, it's like both guys jumping up, going to get it.
It was a little cringy. I'm not gonna lie.
God bless Justin Watson. I think he's been the best wide receiver the Chiefs have had on this team so far this year.
I agree.
His celebration, I don't know, because I tweeted, I was like, I don't know if you could do an on the head celebration after that one, but like, go off, King. Like, go do what you need to do. No, but you're right. Justin Watson, didn't really necessarily think we'd be talking about him this much.
Yeah.
But the consistency that he brings to the team in the wide receiver position, the trust that Patrick Mahomes has obviously showed in him is something that's been incredibly huge. But yes, some really good nuggets there about Justin Watson.
Let's move on to the other side of the ball.
Oh yeah,
talk about the defense. I feel like we haven't spoken about them as much, and they've been phenomenal. Chris Jones, why don't you take this?
Yeah, let's talk about Chris Jones as the defense continued their disruptive streak, including a sack performance by Chris Jones. Jones has now recorded at least a sack in each of his first 4 games this season. Jones was able to find Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins for a 7-yard sack at the Minnesota 39-yard line, forcing a 3rd and 15 for the Vikings. His hot start in 4 games with at least 1 sack ties Pro Football Hall of Famer Derek Thomas for the franchise record of consecutive games to start a season with at least 1 sack. He now has 69.5 sacks in his career. Jones finished with 2 tackles, 1 solo, including a tackle for loss, and 1 pass defended to go with the sack. Pretty impressive when you talk about Chris Jones. Chris Jones has had an incredible start to the season. He also has led the Chiefs in pressures, according to PFF, in this game with 5. Those were 2 quarterback hits, 2 hurries, and obviously that 1 sack. And he played in 77% of the snaps, which, talking about a guy who missed week 1 in all the training camps, still playing in 77% of the snaps, with the second most on the defensive line behind Dana and Karlaftis, who just played in 2 more snaps than him. So he has been very good. And he did stay ready. I know we were a little worried about with the conditioning. He looked a little gassed at some points.
Sure.
But he was very disruptive, and he's just been able to kind of pick and choose his battles against the different defensive linemen, because he's so good at every single spot on the defensive line. He can just say, I want to go up against this guy this time and go win. And he's been able to do it 4 straight games to start a season with a sack. Could do it. Could break it on Thursday.
We'll see.
With the offensive line of the Broncos, not good. So could very well do it.
I think the fact that he misses week 1 and still has 4.5 sacks throughout the season is incredible. That's consistent.
His agents are loving it.
The payday. Yeah. The incentives. Gosh. Oh yeah. It's gonna be great for him, but I think it also proves of how essential he is, and the fact that he can put, and him also just being on the interior brings the pressure. Oh, yeah. It doesn't. It's not always about the sacks. It's about the quarterback pressure. It's about what else he's able to bring to that defensive line. And I think the veteran player that he is, he wins his matchups like pre-snap almost. Oh yeah. If that's even a plausible thing. So seeing him continue to excel has been great. McDonald's for everyone.
Big Macs for everybody.
Big Macs.
Make sure to take advantage of that one. In college, I took advantage of that deal. Probably too much. Probably too much. Buy one, get one Big Macs. Don't really need that every Monday, Tucker. I probably should have told myself that.
The personal trainer in me wants to tell you other things about what are in those, but that's okay.
That's probably fine. We don't need to.
Them. Okay, let's talk about a guy who ended it for the Chiefs, iced the game with that sack. Mike Dana brought down. I love how when I copy these over from 10 things that come in post-game notes, I always forget to take out that I've already announced who the Vikings quarterback is. It's Kirk Cousins, so I don't need to read off to you that he brought down Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins. There's a 10-yard sack ending the game. Chiefs get that victory, of course, after it. It gives him 3.5 on the season so far. Through 5 games, that's not bad. 14 in his career total. End of the day with 3 tackles. 2 of those are solo and 2 quarterback pressures. With that, of course, 1 sack. That was huge.
Absolutely.
And defense, man, they have come up in just essential moments like that for Kansas City within the past 4 weeks. I don't know why I said it like that. It's been 5 weeks through the season, but they've come up just doing what they need to do to get things done and end the game, and it was just a perfect way. We talked about them starting the game. They forced a fumble, they recover, the Chiefs take over, the Chiefs score. They end the game as well. They force the sack, and then no more chances for the Vikings to get back in this one.
Yeah.
defense has been huge for Kansas City, and I love to say the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs now have a defense that looks like a Super Bowl caliber defense.
It's incredibly exciting to give Patrick Mahomes this kind of defense.
And we still don't have all the pieces.
Correct. Charles Minihue will be back for the Chargers game, so one more game without Charles Minihue. That's exciting. What I started doing last night, I put together this chart last night. I wanted to keep track of the points that the Chiefs allow. So Lions scored 21 points, Jaguars 9. And then their points per game for those teams outside of the games that they played for the Chiefs, if that makes sense, if you're following me. So the Lions, for an example, the Lions scored 21 points against the Chiefs. Their points per game outside of that game is 31.8.
Okay.
So just to get a gauge on how many points that the Chiefs are allowing offenses, traditionally what their average is. So the Vikings only 20 points last night. 23.5 is what they've averaged outside of playing Kansas City. The Jets obviously is the only team that they've allowed to have more than their points per game average, which their points per game average went up because they beat the Broncos. They scored 31 points in that game. So that's just something I'm kind of monitoring because I just feel like the Chiefs defense has been so dominant and keeping the Chiefs in these games. And Mike Dana, another guy, a big reason that he's been so dominant. He's the third most pressures this season with 14, only behind George Karlaftis with 23 and Chris Jones with 15. He's collected the second most sacks behind Chris Jones as well.
It's been his breakout year.
Yeah.
We talked about him in spurts last season. Before that, hardly at all. And he has just stepped into his own. I mean, I don't know if it just was a matter of opportunity and time and preparation to be here, but it's a year for him, seems like.
I think a big thing is Joe Cullen, too. And Joe Cullen, BJ brought it up when we sat down with him at the Combine. Sean Barber, he used to be on the same defense when they were up at Richmond together. And they were talking about him saying that he wants a room full of Mike Dana. It's just the way he works and everything like that. And having the guy get to the right coach in the right room, in the right position. And the way he's improved has been tremendous. I mean, the way it's made us not really think about Charles Minihue all that much because when we were talking on the postgame show, people were saying, "Oh, I forgot about Charles Minihue.
That he's coming, Jim."
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, I forgot that we have that guy, that we signed that guy to a contract." So it's like he's been able to help mask that and what you add Dana into it. I don't think Dana's going to get any snaps taken away by Charles Minihue. I don't really think so because he's deserved to play in the situation. But third most behind George Karlaftis with 23, which, by the way, he's tied for 8th in the NFL in terms of pressures according to PFF. In the league behind some pretty impressive guys. And Chris Jones, 15 pressures and getting, I think PFF called it 5 sacks because they don't do half sacks at PFF. So it's like a 33% sack conversion rate off of pressures for Chris Jones, who's, again, we mentioned playing really well. Right there with him. I think it's like 26% in terms of pressure to sack rate. Pretty impressive with Mike Dana. Again, that's just me reiterating how Mike Dana has been huge early on in the season for the Chiefs.
I'm loving it. I'm loving all the things we're saying. I'm loving all the stats. I'm loving the fact that the defense is not the topic of conversation and criticism. This season, it's usually like, wait till week 7 or 8, then we'll talk about some good defense. And it's been just, lights out from the beginning. Couple extra notes that we had in here. Bucker has 95 games notched, moved into 3rd place in the NFL history for most points scored by a kicker in his first 100 games. Of course, behind Justin Tucker, that makes sense, but he's there at 3rd with 807. Thought that was interesting. Leo Chanel finding a sack. Great. McDuffie, of course, able to interrupt 2 passes. He continues to be impressive. I thought it was interesting that they didn't put L'Jarius Sneed in the post-game notes because he had another exceptional game going up against Jefferson. And then Tranquil, of course, leading the way, being in for linebacker Nick Bolton, who's out right now wearing that green dot. He was all over the field. Had 32 tackles, 21 solo on the season so far. That's, of course, not in one game, 50 tackles, but on the season. 9 tackles for Tranquil and his highest single game mark since joining the Chiefs. You have a little tidbit on him as well. Yeah,
Drew Tranquil, really impressive on Sunday. He played in all 73% of the defensive snaps for the Chiefs. I saw that and I said, wow, it's exhausting, especially when you think about he is that backup Mike. They didn't have Nick Bolton go into him. And he was dealing with a bad knee after the game. I believe Andy Reid said that he was dealing with a little bit of a knee injury and even popped up on the injury report a little earlier. Just an impressive performance from him. Gritty, toughed it out. I really like what I see with Drew Tranquil.
What an addition, though. And the fact that within a year he's been able to step up as a leader. I know he was a bit of a vet coming over from the Chargers, but I will be curious to see him go up against the Chargers here in 2 weeks after they pummel the Broncos. The only thing that concerns me here about the Broncos is it's a divisional game. And I know they just know each other well. They've seen each other a lot. They are so bad. But it just, I don't want to even say anything about it because it always happens in those divisional games. Something weird, something wonky. Let's just hope that this is the game that the Chiefs offense gets just a nice little
humming.
Good job.
Just humming.
Nice job. You beat up your little brother in the backyard.
Yeah. We need the Chiefs to flex the muscle. We love the Chicago Bears.
Yes. Build up my confidence. Make me feel better about myself.
To be fair, they were in a rock fight with the Chicago Bears. So should asterisk,
yep.
A little asterisk.
Put it up there.
It should be an easy game.
We'll see. We got a short week. We will have another 10 things on Friday because we have another game on Thursday. But Todd, that's it from me. You good?
I'm good.
Solid. All right, guys. Congrats. Happy Victory Monday and enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you on Friday for some more 10 things.